Welcome to KIMEcast, where we break through and cut the BS in sports medicine, rehabilitation, and sports performance, and talk about how things really work. Welcome to KIMEcast. This is Tony Mikla, Russ Dunning, and special guest today, Ian Book. Welcome, Ian.
Thanks for having me. Excited to talk about everything related to the arm.
Oh, man, absolutely. It's good to dive into it. So I've gotten to know Ian over many, many years. I think we met when you were like a seventh grader, and now making it back to the league. So it's pretty awesome to see part of that process. But I wanted to have Ian come on and really talk about your experience, as you've gone through your progression as an athlete, obviously from when we got to know each other when you were a high school athlete, and then into your college at Notre Dame, tremendous amount of success there, and then into the NFL over the last few seasons now. Obviously, as the quarterback, and how you have to take care of your arm, take care of your body, and prep for it. I'd love to hear more about your story about that process and what you've learned and how things may have changed, like from what you did, earlier on in your career to as just things have kind of fortified and you've learned more about yourself and learned more about the position you have and the role that you have and maybe how things have changed or evolved over that time.
So I would say, we talk about arm care a lot. Obviously, I see you a few times a week.
Yeah.
I'd say first, right off the bat, I think injuring my elbow in high school was the reason I got really into everything arm care, because it was a time where I was pretty worried. I was about to go to Notre Dame, and I was worried that I wasn't going to be able to go and be a quarterback and throw.
Yeah. That's a real thing.
It's terrifying.
You get hurt, and you're like, oh, shit,
it's time.
What am I going to do?
Yeah.
And then you figure out some stuff. And I think that's an opportunity where athletes learn so much about their body. Like all of a sudden, I gotta do some stuff.
I had someone call me last week about elbow therapy, and that felt good. I was like, well, that means I must know enough now. But yeah, injuring my elbow was the first thing that got me really into prehab, I call it, because I don't want to get back. I don't want to be, the amount of time that I'm spending on this prehab is going to be a lot less than if I truly am rehabbing. So I just don't, my goal at this point in my career is to not get hurt again and just keep it. That's going to save me a bunch of time. When I hurt my elbow in high school, without getting too into the weeds, I was freaking out. I had a game on Friday. I saw Tony on a Tuesday or Wednesday. He came over to the house. It made me feel a lot better about everything I needed to do. I needed to strengthen my forearm and that was the first time that I learned that we're not just going to do a bunch of stuff for my elbow. We're going to do everything else. And that I was young. Was I a sophomore? I was a sophomore. It's my first year on varsity, or maybe
junior year.
And that was the first time I was like, I'm about to really take. I want to go to Notre Dame. I've committed there at this point, and I want to get there and be able to throw and have a legit chance.
Yeah.
So that's when I just started taking everything really seriously, and that's when I learned that a lot of times when something's bugging me, it's actually coming from somewhere else. It could be like something that I've learned big time for me is when I'm tired and lazy and my legs are tired, my elbow hurts more. Why is that? Well, It's because I'm being lazy and I'm torquing my elbow and I'm not using my hips. I learned that early, and I think that's kind of why I got ahead of the game. The injury is a little bit of a blessing, right? That got me super into it. Because even when I got to Notre Dame, I was asking my coach, I was like, Coach, can you let us out 10 minutes earlier than you are? You're screwing me. Because we get out and we just start throwing like everyone else.
Get out of film,
we get dressed and practices. And once the horn's off in 15 minutes, I'm cold, my arm feels terrible.
Yeah.
So even, it's hilarious. I'm begging a grown man coach to let me get 10 more minutes so I can do my routine that I've been doing since high school.
Yeah.
Because I want this to get better.
Right.
And it was funny that we've talked about this a bunch. I just think football is extremely behind, 5-10 years behind baseball.
Yeah.
So that was something I learned really fast was let me just get in with the baseball kids, because what they're doing is what I want to do. They're protecting their elbow because that's part of the sport for them as well. And I just got on I got on the baseball plan.
Yeah, there's so much of that.
It really helped me.
Because we see the young guys in a similar situation in baseball. We see so many 14, 15, 16-year-olds. Something happens, their elbow gets sore, shoulder gets sore, and a lot of times where we get to meet these athletes at these young ages, which is super unfortunate. I wish that wasn't the case, but I think the impact we can have is tremendous to meet them and then teach them about their body. There's so many kids we get to meet that are younger, in the 14-year-old group where they haven't lifted weights before. They really don't even know what's going on, but they've been gifted that they can throw kind of hard. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden it's shit, now my arm My arm hurts, you know, now I can't throw at all. What the heck happened, you know? And
I didn't just go to rehab. Like I actually learned about my elbow.
Yeah.
And I think that is the reason that my elbow pain is gone. Like actually, I think I was just terrified, right? And that got me at a young age doing 10 extra minutes of warming up, doing a post-throw routine, which we can get into. But it became part of my daily routine. And like I always say to a bunch of people, I learned from a trainer that, you know, we warm up to throw. Like I don't throw to warm up anymore. Those days are over.
Warm up to throw. That's a great line.
Yeah.
How long did that pain syndrome last for you? Like once it really kind of like got hot and it was like my tendon hurts, my ligament hurts, my inside of my elbow hurts.
I threw so much in college. I can't even fathom throwing that much again. That is just the name of college football. And I think coordinators want a really clean practice, and if they might want to get through 100-something plays, and they want to be clean, no balls on the ground on a Friday, right before the game. So it was tough because I had an elbow injury that I didn't want people to know about. So that's another part of this whole thing. I have an elbow injury I don't want anyone to know about. I went to Notre Dame with an elbow injury and wasn't going to say a word. I was just going to say, hey, I like to do prehab. I throw better, keep it like that. But
which is true.
It is true. It is true.
We put this strategy in place. Like, all right, this is what you're going to do to take care of yourself.
I want the whole truth and nothing but the truth.
Yeah.
I mean, not the whole truth.
It was prevented from getting any worse. It wasn't that bad. It just hurt. It was the biggest thing. You went through all the testing and such to prove that, okay, it's not
right.
It's not major.
I was just limited.
Yeah, it just hurts.
If a coach came to watch me throw at Oak Ridge, which they would, I could get through a workout, but I didn't want to grimace, and I'd go home and be like, I can't move my arm.
Yeah.
But I would say like overall time was my junior, senior year, and then probably into my freshman. So it was about 4 total years of like pain, and it was just slowly getting better because it could have gotten better faster. I threw more in college than I can imagine, and I never got time off, and I frankly I needed some of that time. Yeah. But I was in there every single day before and after. And if I didn't do that, there's no telling what would have happened. I might not have been able to throw. But I was just, I had a pre-routine and a post-routine that I still do now. And it's funny when I go throw with these guys now, we're throwing at 11, I get there at 10:45, I'm warming up. By the time they get there, they're like ready to throw. I still have 15 more minutes. Like at this point now, I'm doing a 30-minute warm up.
Yeah,
it's the way I feel best. So
yeah, let's talk about that. So what does that look like?
Yeah, for me, my pre-throw routine involves a lot of those weighted balls. So I don't know the exact weights. I was thinking about this on the ride over here. I should know it, but I know one of them is a lot lighter than a baseball, and one is a lot heavier than a baseball. I think if I can just have one that's focused on being heavier and one that's lighter, I'll be good to go. I will do a bunch of hip mobility stuff, a bunch of, what are we talking here on the
thoracic
ground?
Mobility.
Thoracic mobility. Yeah. Let's throw some key terms in here. Thoracic mobility. I do a lot of that first.
Okay. And
then I want to build like a sweat before I do anything. Because I know when I just start throwing without moving my legs, I'm not that great at throwing. I just lose like a certain amount of kind of like torque and velocity on my throws.
Yep.
Then I'll do
it just doesn't pop the way they want to.
The first thing I do is I grab the band that you gave me and I just put it around a pole, and I'll do 10 of everything, 10 out, 10 circles, 10 back, 10 here, 10 cuff, go the other way, 10.
I'm just about 1 to 200 reps.
I am. My shoulders are on fire.
Yeah.
And that's the point. I want my shoulder to be on fire because my first throw of the day, I would like it to be like the first throw. I used to throw around with the guys 50 balls before I throw my first rep, but that's throws I need.
Yeah, you warm up to throw versus let's get warmed up, and when you throw, let's put something on it and make it be valuable. What you said there, I think, is really important. There's a lot of guys, especially in the younger baseball community, doing all the band work with Jaeger bands are really popular.
Yeah.
And great tool. But I see guys really like just going super fast through it, and they're just kind of like, they're wasting time, right? Yeah. They don't realize that someone said, hey, do bands. It's good to do bands for you throw. And so every thrower does it now. But I think that what you just said there is I want my arm to be tired. Like you want to feel the burn. On fire. Yeah, you want to feel the fire. You want to feel it burn. And I think that's a critical feeling for any thrower to have is that you got to get the shoulder. We would call this activation. You got to get the muscles activated. You got to turn them on, prep it for this type of activity. So if you went through your tubing routine and you didn't feel that, I would say you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's a take-home message. You should feel like, wow, I'm a little bit tired. I kind of got everything burning. It's firing.
Yeah.
And then you shake it out for a minute or two and you're kind of
And I'm building a sweat. And I would say if anyone hasn't done the bands, after 10 reps, it's going to hurt.
Yeah.
I've gotten a lot better at it. Like doing these bands, I can get farther into the band routine now. But I remember the first time doing it. It's extremely hard.
Yeah.
So I'll do that. Then I'll grab the pretty heavy ball and I'll just swing my arm 10 times back, 10 times forward, get some of that crunching going on.
Yeah,
there.
get it moving. Yeah, take it out.
And then I find a wall. And right now at Livermore Park in Folsom, where I throw, there's a lacrosse bounce back net. It's perfect. So I'll do 10 balls, kind of stretching the heavier ball, going all the way back.
Yep.
And then a lot of times, I don't know what you call it, but I get in the kneeling thing and a kneeling stance, and I'll actually throw the ball backwards. Yep. So I'll work on the other direction because I'm about to go this way for the next hour and a half.
Yeah, right.
So that feels really good. That kind of opens up everything for me. Then I'll grab a light ball and do that same thing. And then I'll grab a football and then we'll start throwing. So that takes me 30 minutes. But the bands and the balls is kind of my thing. I also have the Theragun. I love doing that before everything. And I even missed one thing. I put the full blown ankle weight I put around my wrist. Yeah. I still do that where I'm getting on the ground and now I have a weight on my hand. I can do some more stuff. So I have a bag with all those in there.
Yeah. So you got to get
Yeah.
So it looks like this. You get to the field. You're doing some mobility work right out of the gate. So hip mobility, thoracic mobility, get things moving, open up the kinetic chain, and then you get into doing some tubing stuff with the bands, get that firing, and then go through some more mobility stuff with the weight with the cuff weight on your wrist.
Then balls.
And then into weighted balls, right? Open everything up and then start to add some velocity weighted balls. And then
it takes me about 25 minutes. Yeah, I would say about 25 minutes. The receivers are ready by then. Yeah. It's funny. Receivers don't warm up. Kind of funny how that works. So it's funny. I know if we throw at 11, I got to get there earlier or I'll still be standing around. Yeah. And then we'll throw. Yeah. And then my post-throwing routine currently right now, I don't do ice. I don't do ibuprofen, which is hilarious because that was my post routine back in the day. When I didn't know anything, it was ice and ibuprofen. And I just realized those are both something that I'm not into anymore. I have the little baseball trampoline. And I will do like 10 bounce back throws where I catch it fully locked out. I like it for grip and kind of that bounce back feature of working on my grip post throw. I'll do like 3 sets of 10 on that trampoline here. That seems to feel really good. I don't know why. You guys might more have science on that one, but that was something I was doing at a baseball facility in Jacksonville and really, really enjoyed.
You're doing extension. Wrist extension.
After doing this the whole day. So
I think it's the key thing. It's like you're making sure that you're not. If you do too much of one sport, your body starts contorting into its habit. So you're trying to break free of that habit. So if you were over flexing, now you're working the opposite tissue to bounce you out. I think
those are key. Those are post throw for me. And other than that, it's kind of the twice a week therapy with you where I'm we can get into that too. But scraping and cupping and massage. But yeah, I don't ice anymore, and I don't ibuprofen because in college, when my elbow was still hurting the first 2 years, I was ibuprofen every day. And I remember listening to a podcast, I knew ibuprofen wasn't great for you, but it was actually making me worse. I think it was taking the edge off, and I'd go throw even harder without doing any of the stuff that I was doing before. Now my elbow hurts worse, so I don't do that anymore either.
Because it can help you take the easy road. I think it's a great tool when needed, but it can make the road easier, and then you end up in a problem.
I felt like I wasn't getting any better at that point, right? So I was like, I need to do something else.
The same thing with ice. You feel the same way?
I just never been a huge fan of. I'm so warm. My UCL ligament is as stretched as it's going to be, and it's on fire. I didn't feel like freezing it.
Yeah.
It just felt weird to freeze that ligament. I felt like naturally maybe letting the body kind of flush that out. Yeah. You guys might have more on that as well, but.
Well, no, that's what the science says is exactly that. We don't
I just got rid of that.
Yeah, we don't have a ton of evidence to say that ice works. It's really preference. So if ice feels good to you and you feel like, hey, this flushes my arm and I feel better icing at the end, great. Yeah. If you like to put heat on it, great. Yeah. If you want to do some exercise on it, great.
I'm more heat on pretty much everything at this point. Yeah. It's just something I enjoy more. I'm doing the sauna.
But you're not afraid of the cold because you will get in a cold plunge.
I'll do a cold plunge full body. But more like acute injury stuff, I'm heat all the way. Just kind of it's a preference thing, I guess.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, I think back in the day, inflammation was a negative term. And I think it's probably more appropriately used as it's a key part of healing. is inflammation. So if you need to be inflamed, be inflamed.
I wanted my body to go through that.
If you blunt the healing, if you blunt inflammation, you're also blunting healing.
Yeah, that's fair. So that's how I felt about it, and it's worked for me. And at this point now, like the biggest thing with the elbow for me was I couldn't throw for long periods of time. It would hurt. I also couldn't throw in different arm angles. So those are the two first things I noticed was if the defender's running at me, I can't do the Mahomes. It would really hurt. And could I throw this way? Yes. But once you extend my arm out a little more, that's when it was starting to hurt. With the 4 years of constant prehab, I can now get into those angles and I can throw for longer periods of time. So that I know it's better, which is great.
So let's talk about that I think that's awesome because that's that idea of throwing or warming up to throw versus throw to warm up is huge. Like huge concept for any youth out there, people working on their throwing mechanics or techniques is to keep that in mind. You want to definitely warm up to throw, get a sweat going before you actually start throwing the ball. If you had all the resources available to you, which you've had at times in your career, whether it be like me as a limited resource or going to Notre Dame where you have this, kind of you name it, especially as you got the starting job and be like whatever Ian wants, Ian gets, and then into the NFL, you certainly have resources as well, but it's interesting. We can talk more about that, like your role in the team and the difference between when you had it at Notre Dame.
When you have to be quiet and not say anything or when you can just get on the table every day for rehab, right?
Yeah, exactly. There's a time where like you
could time and place to suck it up.
At Notre Dame, your junior and senior, you'd be like, hey, someone do this to my elbow, and everybody'd be like, whatever you need, Ian.
It's a nice luxury.
Yeah, and then you walk in with the Saints, and if you say that, you'd be on the first bus home.
I didn't want to. You don't want to be in the training room at all in the NFL unless you're the starter. So.
Yeah. So if you have the resources like you did at Notre Dame, how did you use those? Because I think you spent a good amount of time helping them help you warm up or like pre-film. Like let's go through maybe like a practice day. What might that look like?
So, and you're talking in the NFL or in college? They're a little different. Okay, so college was different, obviously, with school and class, right? So half your day.
I forgot about that. That's right.
Yeah, at Notre Dame, we go to class. We go to class at Notre Dame.
This is pre-NIL.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, half your day is class. So college is a lot different. But then when you get to the facility, it just felt like in college, everything is rushed. That's why I had to beg my coaches for 10, 20 more minutes.
Yeah.
And I got them on board because, I mean, I think I needed it and they needed me, which was nice. So we were able to come to an agreement. But sitting down in meetings all day, you're freezing cold. You just got out of class. You're at Notre Dame. It's probably 20 degrees outside anyways. So I always started the day, like if I could get out of that meeting 20 minutes early, the first thing I'll do is get into a hot tub. I always do that. That's been my jam. I'm freezing, just get the whole body warm.
Yeah.
Then I'll go into the training room and do what I just talked about. And then I go to the field and I have those balls, and that's where I'm throwing those balls at the wall. So I can do all that, but I just felt like in college I was so rushed.
Right.
So I could do it, but I might have to not, maybe I can't do the band today. Oh, I can't do this today. But I was able to do something. And that was by me kind of begging to get some extra time. I would say like in the NFL, depending on who the starter is, it totally depends. If you have a starter that's just a gunslinger that does nothing, he might stay in meetings until 5 minutes before the horn. And you're screwed because now I'm third string and group's going out in 5 minutes. It is what it is. Yeah. But if you have a starter that's enjoying the prehab stuff and getting his arm ready to go, then it was benefiting me. I wouldn't say anything, but I would be like, this is perfect. This is great. So someone, for example, Jameis Winston, he works for 3D QB. That's where I learned the term, warm up to throw, not throw to warm up. His warm up is longer than mine. So he'll run across the field. He's got the weighted balls. He'll do this. He's doing all of it. He's out there. He's begging coach, we would rather meet with you a half hour earlier so I can get out there a half hour earlier. And that was amazing. I didn't have to say anything. So those were I just used all of those when I could. Yeah. Now, if there's a day where it's only 10 minutes, at least I did something. But I would say for me, the biggest thing is I always want to get warm and get a sweat. And if I can start that by getting in the hot tub, I'll do it. I'll even get into the sauna before. I want to warm up my body before I get out there. Yeah. So those were kind of my biggest, that's like a key thing for me is I just never been the guy to just throw cold. And I don't throw 70 yards anyways. So I want my full body warmed up and ready to go. Because I know like my strengths are my mobility, being able to run around and being accurate. And I'm the most accurate when I'm warm. So I've found out what is my thing and I've followed it. Yeah.
It's pretty funny. Like when I was at Arizona, I was good friends with Luke Walton as a teammate and got to know his dad, Bill. And we were out in San Diego at his house, and like the hot tub that they have is insane. It's like a huge grotto. You know, it's like the size of a pool. It's unbelievable. So Luke's like, Tone every day starts in the hot tub. So 6 a.m. hot tub versus, I mean, I'm like 22 years old. I'm like, why?
Yeah. There's a lot of people
Bill,
like that.
But Bill was like beat up, you know, like, so he was like the rehab god. Like, you know, you knew to take care of your body if you're Bill Walton, you know?
Yeah.
So it was, and so, yeah, Bill taught Luke this, and Luke's like, yeah, so we do that. And then we go, you know, we get shots up and then go to the workout and do the whole day, you know?
Yeah.
But it was, I was like, I can get behind this. Starting
totally
the hot tub,
agree.
this is good. This is good shit, right?
Practice starts at 6 a.m.
Yeah. I'm like,
with some heat.
I could appreciate this.
I think the easiest answer for anyone is like the biggest hack. It's not even a hack, is a routine.
Yeah.
That's it. And I've been training quarterbacks now with some free time. They don't warm up. Like my high school guys, they don't warm up at all. So I'm trying to teach it to them now. So when they do go to college, it'll benefit them. Everyone's throwing more often and at an earlier age than I've ever seen. And I think we all have so many reps on our arm no matter what, right? So getting on that now can extend that for people.
100%.
That's my deal.
And using more of the body. I mean, I know you've gone through so much throwing mechanical work with different guys around the country. I think learning how to use your body in an effective way is, like you said too, is using your kinetic linking, using your hips, using your trunk, using everything else too, where it's not just all arm.
I can 100% tell a difference now. If I were to just go out, throw to warm up, and just start throwing, it's not going to be a great session. Mm-hmm. If I do the work, it's hard. You don't want to warm up for 30 minutes. But when I do that,
you look weird when you're the only guy doing it, right?
Yeah,
and like you said, the receivers are like,
standing there.
Come on, like get it together.
I don't care. I know that my session will be a lot better if I can.
No, in high school, I remember you in the weight room, and you were by far the most strongest, most powerful in the entire team, was the quarterback for Oak Ridge. So you were never strength limited nor power limited. Did you change? Like, did your training change? What, you know, how did you teach your body how to use your whole body with the throw rather than gunsling it? Because, you know, for a lot of athletes, hey, get your legs stronger, get your pull stronger, get your squat stronger.
Yeah, you
already had all the strength.
Yeah.
What was the
quarterback
training?
is so unique for that, right? So I feel like at a young age, doing those Olympic lifts definitely helped me and helped me become strong as the athlete that I am now. But since I would say college, post-college, all NFL, my training has changed because it's not as heavy as I can go anymore. In college, it was. And I think this is such a hard topic because it just depends on your strength coach. Yeah. If you have an old school strength coach that wants you to squat, you know, he wants you to hit your one rep max, you kind of don't have a choice. Like, my college strength coach is one of the best strength coaches I've ever had because he pushed me mentally farther than anyone ever has. So I love him for that. And he can only do that doing a certain amount of training. But we were doing the old school lifts. Mm-hmm. And was it the best thing for me as a quarterback? Probably not. But it's the most mentally tough I've ever been in my life. So you got to pick.
It's a trade, yeah.
Now going to the NFL, it depends on who the strength coach is. And it depends if you're a multi-million-dollar player, you might not do any of the lifts and you'll do it all at home with your personal trainer. That was never me. So it depends. New Orleans, we had more of an old school guy. We were doing Olympic lifts. We were going and putting on the full-blown Olympic lifting shoes with all that stuff.
Oh, wow.
And then you can go somewhere else who's more, in Philadelphia, they were, I guess you could call it, more with the times. And we had a full-blown shoulder guy, and we got to work with him and do all the band stuff. And then he didn't make me max squat. He made me do split stuff. He made me do more balanced stuff. He made me do just what I didn't used to do in college. And I liked it better. I feel like I can still be as strong and not have to deadlift and squat 1,000 pounds, my max, by doing other things at this point. I think I've built my body up to the point where I can do that now, and I like that better. So when I worked with Pat this offseason, I was telling you a lot, like we did training stuff I've never done before, and I absolutely loved it. And it was all about bending the body right up your alley, which is perfect. I love it because it was like we were hanging, we were doing toes to bar, we were bending over the physio ball, we were opening up everything, and then we would go throw. Mm-hmm. Never once did I squat 500 pounds, and I still felt amazing. And so I don't think there's one way. I just think it's what can you do without getting hurt, and what can you do that's keeping you strong, but also as a thrower, it's a whole nother game. If I was a linebacker, different story. Yeah, maybe.
Probably.
That's kind of
that much contact in the game. I think that what you said there is actually a really good path. Like what people have to understand is that what you see like a professional player do, whether it be any sport, which certainly in the NFL, but any sport, you see a professional athlete doing things, they're very, very technical. Like Tom Brady's been famous for all of his technicality stuff he's done with TB12. Obviously what Mahomes is doing is really sexy right now, where all the different movements, and it's very movement oriented, which is phenomenal. But if you're also like a 15-year-old and you're doing all that and you're weak as shit,
you need to build your base.
Yeah, then you're not really training the same thing. So there has to be a big base building part of your life, like in high school, to get to college and be successful there. I think you gotta. I mean, we talk a lot about you getting your weight up for the combine was a big thing. Like Vince was really, you got to get weight up so that you could be a certain way. Yeah. So there is definitely a big base building thing, and once your base is built, though, then it's about this. Then it's about.
Well, you're also getting older too, right? Like, I mean, if you're, some of these guys in the NFL, whatever, they're 35, they don't squat at all anymore. Or they just, whether they know it or not, they don't want to do it. That's for sure, and they're afraid of it. They've had a back injury before, and everyone's got cool, unique training, and I think it just shows like there's many ways to do it, but you just got to do it. Yeah, and it's fun to see everyone's training. Someone like Alvin. Someone like Pat Mahomes, and then someone like a D lineman or something who's doing hand fighting drills, and just there's so many ways to train and get better. Yeah, it's cool. It's really cool. I love having like a veteran who's been in the league for a while, or at least played college football or something, and they put them in a weight room and they hear like somebody drop a bar, and they're like, oh. I'm not going anywhere near that space. There's someone I'm thinking of right now that we would deadlift in Kansas City, and he was like, nope. I got her doing that. He's like, no way. I'm not even touching that bar.
Yep. Get that away from me.
Because to finish off his career, he's been in the league for a long time. He's like, I'm not getting hurt in this weight room. If I get hurt on the field, but I'm not going to get hurt lifting. Yeah. So I wouldn't change anything my way, because I think without even knowing it worked out, because back in high school and even leading up to college, there was less of the sexy workouts that Mahomes is doing. Yeah. And I think that built my foundation. Yeah. And then I've learned about it right at the perfect time. Right. So it's worked out for me. Yeah, but if I were to teach a quarterback now, he might be able to get into it a little bit earlier. Yeah. I think that's it. Yeah. You can start to put it in for sure early on, as long as there's a base building thing to kind of get that size up is huge. And this is well correlated with science. Like when we were training Stephanie Trafton for the discus throw, I was able to attend a conference, and those guys are at a throws event for, like, if you're doing shot put, discus, hammer, those guys are Olympic lifting to the core, because Olympic lifting is very, very highly correlated. If I Olympic lift, I increase power and I increase my ability to move mass, which is usually what throwing those objects are, right? So the correlation is very, very high. But there's very, very good science that says at some point there's a separation. So at some point of strength, increasing your strength no longer correlates to throwing something farther or harder. Mm-hmm. It actually becomes just plateaus. Mm-hmm. So a certain level of Olympic lifting strength, like a snatch or a power clean, gets you, as that's getting stronger, your throw goes further. And then at some point, the Olympic lifting can continue to get stronger and stronger, but the throw never doesn't go any further. So it starts to no longer be correlated. Right. And so once you hit that level, and that's a little bit variable, but there were some key numbers for Olympic level athletes. But once you hit that level, then that's where you want to shift to, like, okay, now let's do some things to maximize my kinetic linking, to be able to use my body more effectively. How do I transfer power more effectively? I know I can create it. Mm-hmm. How can I transfer it and use it in the implement we want? Well,
I love it how you did the weighted balls. I mean, the drive line's been out with baseball for maybe a decade now. I think it's been pretty hot and pretty amazing. But you've taken a lot of the baseball strategies and implemented them. Sure. How many other quarterbacks out there in the NFL or at college utilize the drive line techniques of weighted balls?
I think it's pretty popular now. I think when I first started was maybe some of the earlier stuff, which is cool to be on that, because I was training with my guy Will Hewlett in Jacksonville in a baseball facility, and he was working with another guy named Tom Gormley, and it was all just working with base. He's got professional baseball players for the offseason coming through, and I just loved that environment. Mm-hmm. So I think I actually got on it earlier than most people. But if you look now, most of the guys are doing it. Mm-hmm. They're also, have you seen like CJ Stroud's using a basketball now and stuff like that? Yeah. So that's a 3D QB thing. That's working on some touch and working on flick with a huge object. Working on he literally is shooting hoops pregame. He's just working on flick and touch. So you can do anything, right? And it's whatever you like and whatever you're willing to stick to as a routine. Yeah. But I would say I got the weighted balls early on in college, which was pretty early.
Well, I love that because it does speak to owning the power curve. I think that's one of those principles of performance training and strength training. I think is holding true. To own the power curve, the Olympic lifting is a fairly heavy object that you're moving quite slow. So it's great to fill that bucket, but recognize you're still moving really slow to move a 200, 300 pound bar.
Right.
Where with a weighted ball, now you have a ball that's a little bit heavier than a baseball, or a little bit lighter than a football, or something maybe a little bit heavier than a football. Now you're just working on a different end of the power spectrum. And I think this definitely fits in the med ball work. So how much med ball throwing did you do? Like slams and rotation and sky high type throws?
A bunch. And it's something I should be doing more right now. I did it in college a bunch. And then I did it this last offseason with Mahomes and all the quarterbacks in Dallas with his guy a ton and loved it. I just felt like when I was throwing the medicine ball, light one and a heavy one, and do all this rotation, it opened me up, and then I can go throw. Mm-hmm. Again, another warm-up tool. Mm-hmm. And working on velocity. We would run, step back, and throw it at the wall as hard as we could. We'd do like 4 or 5 reps of those, really working on like torque and full-blown velocity.
Very game-like situations.
Yeah, and that's a huge one for Pat. And you see videos of him doing that, and then they'll show like exactly what he did on the football field and how they correlate. Yeah. I like the medicine ball a lot.
You said you'd use light and heavy.
Yeah, the same size, but some are like pretty light.
Sure.
I think maybe 8 pounds.
Yeah.
Versus one that might be 16 or something. We would do them both.
Yeah, the big fluffy Dynamax balls.
Yeah,
I love those. Those are my favorite.
So we would do both.
Same type of drills, or would the drills be a little different?
Same drills.
Yeah.
Same drills.
So I think what the science curve here is if you use a lighter ball, like a 8-pound ball or a 6-pound ball.
Yeah.
So like someone like your size, Ian's like 215 pounds.
Yeah. So
on a good day.
We got to scale down for all of our listeners. There's parents out there and they got their 16-year-old kid. Like, all right, kid, you're going to throw this 16-pound med ball. Yeah. Unless you have a 300-pound hang clean, you're not touching the 16-pound.
Yeah. Right. We weren't doing a ball that none of us could do.
Right, that's the key thing. So everyone wants to grab the 20-pound med ball or the 15-pound med ball, which if you're a big guy, like I think even for you, if I was coaching you on this front, I'd say that's going to slow you down.
Yeah.
I'd rather you throw an 8-pound ball, maybe a 10-pound ball as hard as you can so we have more velocity.
Yeah.
Because when you throw a football, the velo is much higher. If we give you a 20-pound weight and you go to throw it as hard as you can, it's going to move slower than you throwing an 8-pound weight, right? So when we look at kinetic linking, it's really important that we underload or lower the weight a bit so they can get more velocity. Yeah. I think it's really, really important neurologically.
Overspeed training.
Yeah, people are like, oh, I got to lift something heavy and lift it hard. Well, the power curve is a bell curve, and if you throw something that weighs nothing, you don't generate very much power. Right. And if you start something that weighs really a lot, you're slow, you don't generate very much power. So you want to pick the weight that you can move fast and throw it far. For sure. Effectively, right? So that's a real, and every athlete's different. So if you're 140 pounds, or if you're 200 pounds, or if you're 250, there's going to be different things.
Yeah. A lot of that is, I lost a lot of my pride in the weight room stuff a long time ago because I don't care. So if Pat and Carson Wentz and all these other guys grabbed this ball and I couldn't do that one yesterday, well, I'll go get a lighter one because I want it to feel good. This again was for me not to get injured, to get the benefits of the workout, but also to warm up for the throwing session that was about to happen. Yeah. So I wasn't going to try to do the same weight as him if I haven't been doing it. Yeah. And by the time we did about a month or so out there. By the time the end of the month, I was up to that weight. Like I was able to see the improvement. So get rid of your pride in the weight room.
Yeah, 100%.
I think you had a great benchmark for success. We talk a lot about in the pod of like identifying what your goal is. If you were to have a single goal with activity or training session, what's that goal? And for you, so much of this, it sounds like to really make sure that your throwing was top level. So the activation sequence, what's the point of activation? Is to perform at an elite level in that session. Yeah. So if you're throwing a 25-pound object and you're too slow and it doesn't have great carryover to the ball you're going to throw, then you throw it out. Then I'm going to throw a 12-pound med ball because it feels better.
100%.
So I think that's a key difference here of like, are we training to get stronger? Once you're strong enough, are we training for power? Yeah. Once your power is enough, are you training for speed and coordination? Yeah. And I think that fit in the activation umbrella that you identified.
I'm just constantly learning too in the weight room. Like I'm doing my training on my own right now for the first time ever. I'm really enjoying it, but I'm learning a lot. Like, I'm doing the lifts that I want to do. I'm also doing the ones I don't love because I know that they'll benefit me. But I always remind myself, I'm in this weight room right now for what? My ultimate goal is to have a great throwing session because right now I'm trying to get tryouts and I got to go throw for 20 minutes to an hour, the best I can. So I'm not trained to be the best deadlifter in the world.
Right.
I'm training to be at the top of my game throwing right now. So I have to always keep that in mind because sometimes I want to go do what my brother's doing and get jacked and look good on the beach. But I'm training for like a certain purpose right now.
Yep.
So
what does that look like? Get into the details. I think everyone would like to know.
What I'm working out.
Yeah,
I'm doing a lot. I'm in a little bit of a different situation.
Quite a list.
I'm in a different situation I've ever been in my life. I have most of my day to work out and throw because I'm doing tryouts. I'm waiting for injuries and I'm trying to get back on the team. We're fortunate enough to have a gym at my parents' house that I get to work out. And I was very hesitant to work out by myself. I've never done it. Actually, I've been with the team. I've been with the trainer forever, but I feel like I know everything now. So I'm like, let's do it. And I start doing it. I really enjoy it because I'm up there for 2 hours. I'm up there for 2 hours. I just finished before I came here. Today, like for example, today I did dumbbell bench and I did dumbbell row. Today was upper body focus. I always have some cardio at the end, but today was upper body focus. I don't bench press. I never really have. I like the dumbbells. It feels better on my shoulders. I feel more stable. And I like being able to, any workout I can do where I'm gripping something, to me seems to help me with throwing, which you could do the science on that one.
Yes, it's true.
Dumbbell bench, dumbbell row, and then hanging abs. So most of my abs are hanging. I learned that from you. So I'm getting a lot better at it. I did some planks. I did the Roman. I always do a little bit of low back, dealing with a little low back stuff. The Roman chair holds, doing those 3 by 1 minute. My thing right now, training alone, is I do have a focus like upper body, but there's something about having all this time where I touch lower body every day. Like I just have enough time to do it. And I would never do that classic like bodybuilder split. I've never done that. Mm-hmm. I will do upper body, but touch some lower body. Like I might do, the kettlebell, single leg, RDL, mm-hmm. just cause with some swings. That's enough mm-hmm. for one day where tomorrow's a big, heavy day. Mm-hmm. But today was dumbbell bench, dumbbell row, a bunch of abs. I even did some shoulder press, which is rare. I don't do that, but Nolan was up there with me, so we had a good time. I was doing cable, rear delts, mostly upper body. But again, I always do jump rope every single day. That's mm-hmm. a non-negotiable.
How many minutes?
So I do 3 sets of this routine. I basically do 40 with both feet, 40 on one leg, 40 on the other leg, 42 on the right, 2 on the left, 2 on the, I do 40 of those, and then I do 40 as quick as I can. 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's one set. I do 3.
You do 40 on one leg in a row?
I do. Calves are burning.
That's a hell of a feat.
Calves are burning. My biggest concern right now is missing that practice time of the cuts and the agility, and an Achilles injury freaks me out more than anything. So I got into jump. Remember when you told me jump rope? I have jump roped every single day since you said it.
How long ago did you say that?
You're like, you should
Not
try.
long enough.
Yeah. I've been. I found
3 months, 2 or 3 months probably.
I like it, and it's my warm up. Again, I get a sweat before I work out. Did some pull-ups, even did some dips, which is new for me. What else did we do today? And then a lot of core. So we did hanging abs. We did planks, right arm out, left leg up. We switched off a few times. And then tomorrow will be step ups. Oh, I did the TRX row. Hanging down with inverted row. That's one of my favorite workouts. So again, very upper body focused, but still did a few things lower just because. And then my brother and I, we ran 10 hill sprints. So that was my day today. Tomorrow will be lower. It'll be, I already had it written up. It'll be the barbell or dumbbell step ups. Mm-hmm. That's been good. I really like that one.
Big step, yeah.
A big step, yeah. Really working that hip hinge area. Mm-hmm. And then I'll do more kettlebell swings. Again, more abs. I'll do the jump rope every day.
Sort of split squat probably.
Yeah, and then the days that I don't run, I do the assault bike. So every day I have something to like get the heart going. So. Mm-hmm. But yeah, those are kind of my days. And I work out like most of my life. I've worked out 4 days a week. Like at Vince's Monday, Tuesday, I was off Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Mm-hmm. And then this is the first time I've pretty much lifted every day.
5 or 7? Like every weekday or
I work out
every day?
I probably take 1 day off. I probably work 6 days a week, work out with 6 days a week. One of them might just be fun with Nolan, just biceps, triceps, like just because we have time. But Yeah, that's kind of my split.
But
it feels good. I actually do
Yeah.
see a difference with the time from 4 days a week to 6. Like I could really tell. I'm the strongest I've ever been.
So you feel like
but
in
I
best
also have
shape.
the most time I've ever had.
Yeah. Best shape of your life.
I would agree. Yeah.
Yeah. And you've had the best throwing sessions of your life with all the tryouts you've gone to.
Right. So that just shows you like it sucks when I get onto a team and you have meetings all day and this all day and then practice and then the classic 45-minute NFL lift. And it wasn't that can really add up. And next thing you know, like I'm not throwing as good as I was week 1 to week 8 because we've really tapered in the gym. Like I throw best when I'm strong in the gym. Most people do.
I want to go back to two things. One, like how you've had to prepare and the schedule you're on now and why you're on it. But then I'd love to talk about the NFL schedule a little bit about what what it's like, like how much scouting's done, how much time you guys spend in the film room, like how much time is done thinking. Like there's so much time thinking and so less time on the field. It's amazing. But you're dealing with athletes that have trained their whole life to be there, and then it's just about getting them to do the right thing in the moment and not make a mistake, right?
Yeah, the amount of time spent in the film room is more than anything else. It's more than we play. It's more than we work out. It's more than we run. It's not even close at our position because it's hard to even explain. The thing that falls off first is the working out.
Yeah,
especially if you're with a starter. Not everyone loves working out as much as I do, and that's okay. But if you're the starter, like what's one thing you're not going to do today? Probably the workout. I'm fine. I'm a quarterback. As long as my arm's good. Boom. So you might, like I'm not in the best shape during the season. I've always known by the time the season ends, I feel pretty weak.
Yeah. You lose weight?
I lose weight.
Multiple positions.
Yeah. I'm studying. So a normal day at a facility is different depending on your coach. But for my last place, I was in Kansas City. Depends if you have a starter who's an early riser too. You might have the guy after practice who wants to watch film if he doesn't have a family versus the guy that might want to get there at 6 a.m. So right when practice is done at 5, he can go home to his family.
I think this alone is one of the greatest things about pro sports is it depends on who's the starter. Like,
you can do it all on your own, but like it's more fun to do it in a group if you have a group that's close, and it's more fun to learn from Pat Mahomes. I would love to, you know, I want to do his routine. It works, right?
Yeah.
You can do it all on your own, but you get close with these guys, and obviously one guy plays at a time, so that can be awkward. But once you get over that, you do a lot of stuff together, and it's better that way. I'd rather watch film with everyone and talk about it, right? It's easier. We learn more.
Yeah, you learn in that situation.
So on a normal practice day, we would get in there at like 7. You might watch, call it the first day of the week. We'll watch first and second down. We'll probably watch 3 or 4 games of first and second down, write down some tendencies. That takes 2 hours. Get breakfast, get in the hot tub. Then I'll go into the meetings. Those are long. So the coach will install, there's a couple meetings. You might be with your position group, then you go to the team meeting with everybody, then you go back to your position group. There's a lot of moving around. You'll do all the first and second down plays. Everything will be installed. The receiver coach will do the routes. O-line coach will do first and second down runs. That's all day. So that'll take you, maybe like noon, 1 o'clock. Then I'll get back in the hot tub. I warmed up for nothing.
You haven't got on the field yet?
No, not even close. It's noon. They'll have like an hour and a half. Well, they'll say, hey, get lunch and maybe, start your warm up. So you get lunch, you get in the hot tub, you get warmed up, you go in the locker room, get your gear on. Then you go out for a 2-hour practice. Then you come back, shower. If it's they'll split it up. Offense, you lift this day. Defense, you lift this day. If it's an offensive day to lift, it sucks because you have from post practice to meeting to watch practice, you might have like an hour and 15 minutes, which isn't enough time to get rehab, work out, eat, and shower. It's just not. It doesn't work that way. So some guys will be like, hey, like we're going to go in right after practice and start watching so we can get out of here earlier. Or you'll get the guy that's like, let's get a quick lift. What's a 30-minute lift? It's like, it's better than nothing, but it's not what I just explained my 2.5 hours were.
Right.
And then they go get rehab. They're like, hey, I'm not lifting today. I'm going to get rehab. Well, then I can go lift. So it's kind of chaotic. And then we meet. Now it's 3 o'clock, whatever, and we'll watch film with the offense. We'll watch practice. That take you to 5. And then everyone can leave. QBs always watch more film, and we might be there till 7 or 8, and it's watching, next week's opponent. Again, we want to watch 3 games. We want to get ahead, so we'll start doing third down before they install third down tomorrow. So you're there all day. Oh my gosh. Most of the time is meeting, And
you're
that's
sitting.
why you're sitting. So for me, with the
In
low
nice
back,
chairs,
goodness.
but,
nice chairs, but your low back is on fire.
Yeah, you're just like, oh, sitting all day now. Hey, let's go sprint.
Oh gosh, best athletes in the world, and you sit all day. Yep.
Yeah.
So it's just some things go and some things give. And by the time you get to week 16, right? Like, oh, I worked out once this week.
Yeah.
You know, and that bugged me. That was the one thing I was like, dang. But
Yeah.
you got to watch
When
the
you
tape.
look at the performance industry, the idea is come in ready to go, and then we're going to teach you the tactical skills you need to survive.
Right.
But your body's on you.
Yeah.
Very much so, right?
And a lot of these guys, I mean, if you're the 1% that's playing football and football only and you're a multi-million-dollar, you might go home and work out with your personal trainer, and maybe they get it in that way. But there's different things to being a second, third stringer that you miss out on.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
I think,
difficult.
and then now the phase that you're in where you're with Kansas City and now you're waiting for the next opportunity. And so usually that happens on Mondays. It's usually the tryout day, typically
Right.
Monday or Tuesday, right?
Right, they'll fly. Yeah, most depends, but most of the time they'll fly you out on Monday and try you out Tuesday because that's a lot of people's off days.
Yeah.
and they can get you in the morning, and that's another crazy experience. That's
Yeah. And so this is where Ian has to be ready at the call.
After flying
'cause
across the country.
Yeah. So the 6-day league working out thing, best shape of your life is that you get, I don't know how much time you got on the field, 30
to
minutes.
warm up?
Yeah,
So-
just to show what you got.
Oh, it depends. I've been at a tryout that's 20 minutes. I've been at one that's an hour and 15. It depends on what they want to see. They might see 3 or 4 routes from a guy or 3 or 4 throws from me and then be like, all right, we're good. Thanks for coming. It's crazy. So I get up. I've told you my whole routine to make my back and arm feel better. Like I get up at the hotel that I'm at. I'll go hit their treadmill, get a sweat, get a hot shower, get my Theragun. I do it all myself.
Yeah.
Because I know that, we're on their time when we get there, right? Like you're a trial guy. They want to see, they might want to see 5 throws. And if you're not warmed up for those 5 throws, you're going to be mad at yourself. Right.
I think that's amazing. Like the skill of they've watched film on you if they're like trying to get to the point of like, all right, is this a guy that can fit or not? So they really have one question they're trying to answer.
What's he look like in person?
Yeah, what's he like in person? Like, how are you in the locker room maybe? Or like, what's your personality? And then like, let me see you. I just want to see if you got it.
Your film is your resume. So they a lot of times they know if they want you before you get there.
Yeah.
They want to see, are you a cool person with the 30 minutes they're with you? Are you good with the receivers? Do you take command? And then how do you look in person? And do you look in shape?
Did you come in shape?
Yeah, that's the best compliment is if someone said, hey, you look like you're still in shape, keep it up. We like you. Because the quarterback gets a bad rap. All these QBs are out of shape and they're still unbelievable.
Yeah.
But when you're a quarterback at home, like, you could get
you
could get out of shape really quick and then go in for a trial and look sloppy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a fun roller coaster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. Gotta be ready for anything. And you've flown to multiple places on the same day in the past, It's like it's just whatever it takes,
Whatever it takes, for real.
Well, I appreciate you, Ian.
Yeah,
it's great
thank
to
you.
get some insights as to what it's like, what it took you to get there, and then how you take care of your body and what you do to stay on top. I think it's really impressive.
Yeah, it takes a lot, but it's worth it. That's what I'd say. Yeah. Find a routine and go for it.
Yeah, this is a guy who's made it, and when the opportunity is presented, step on the field ready to go. When we had the first opportunity at Notre Dame, one of your first starts was in a bowl game.
Yeah, against LSU, and won with a last-second one-handed catch, and was able to play more after that.
Yeah, then that basically gets you into a starting spot, right? And then you continue for the rest of your career. So it's the winningest quarterback in Notre Dame history.
Yeah,
which is saying a lot. I mean, there's quite a list there. Brady Quinn, Joe Montana. Russ doesn't know anything about football, but those guys were good, though.
Yeah, there's a few that went there, so it's good.
How was the weekend? You guys got back. Was it good?
It was amazing. Yeah, I got to get out there more. I was just telling my wife that I was like, it's far and it's hard to get to, but being out there is awesome. Fans are great. Got to connect with a bunch of people, and just watch as a fan is fun. It's different.
Yeah.
So was able to do I did a few podcasts out there, a few interviews, but got to kind of see some old teammates, which is awesome. And Notre Dame's got a chance to make the playoffs, so it's exciting.
That's good. Cool. You got married there in the chapel this summer.
5 months ago.
Yeah. It's pretty awesome. All right, well, thank you, and good to talk to you.
Thank you. Appreciate it, guys.
Yep.